Anderson Ezebe on the show this morning. Mr. Anderson, a lovely morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. Could you give us an update into the strike ASUP started last week? What's the compliance level like?
Well, as a matter of fact, the strike actually commenced yesterday. Yes, it's a warning strike. It was actually the decision to embark on the strike. Yes, it was taken last week on the 11th after our next meeting on the 11th last week Wednesday, but it was to take effect from yesterday, that is the 16th, and it has taken off. The compliance level is commendable. As I informed earlier, myself has been on monitoring with other members of our Council of National Officers, and the response level is very high in the public polytechnics across the nation.
Mr. Sebe, I want to talk to you about your conversation, your negotiation with the federal government. Any update on that? And what are your requests?
Okay. On the issue of negotiations, we're not really very keen on a fresh round of negotiations on our demands. When you have an agreement on the table, what will trigger a renegotiation of the terms as already agreed is probably when any of the parties signifies an intention to renegotiate, maybe on the grounds that conditions are no longer favorable for the attainment of the already agreed positions.
Right.
Now, as we speak, that is not the case. We have a memorandum of action we signed with the government in April last year, leading to the suspension of a strike action last year that lasted for 61 days. It was suspended for a period of 3 months, effective 10th of June. The 3-month suspension period was as agreed in that memorandum of action, and it is to enable the government to create an enabling environment for the government to fulfill aspects of the agreement that require some processes to be put in motion. Now, our conviction for agreeing to the 3-month period is that 3 months is ample time, is enough time to fulfill those processes. Now, for instance, in June, an approval was conveyed to us for the release of 15 billion naira revitalization fund by Mr. President, which was one of our demands. Now, the approval was shown to us in June as we suspended the strike. And so we had expected that within a 3-month period, the processes leading to the release of these funds would have been completed. And that 3 months is more than enough time to execute that. We had expected that 3 months was ample time for the government to pay minimum wage arrears to our members owed for 10 months across different federal polytechnics since 2019. We believe that 3 months was ample time to enable our regulatory body to overhaul the normative instruments for institution management and programs accreditation across all polytechnics, federal, state, and private in the nation, because that issue speaks to the issue of standards. It speaks to issues around non-payment of staff salaries in different polytechnics owned by different state governments. It speaks to lack of infrastructure in different state polytechnics. It speaks to lack of appropriate governance structures and arbitrariness in the management of a lot of the state-owned polytechnics. Because we believe that if we want to operate polytechnics, then the standards have to be the same across the nation. There is nothing called ordinary state diploma. They are all national diplomas, and regulation is by the nation, by a national agency. And so we felt that 3 months was ample time to get this over the line. We felt that 3 months was also ample time to have a scheme of service and conditions of service, governing, the sector that does duty prescription and career progression requirements for the sector, which has been undergoing review since 2017. That 3 months was ample time for this also to be actualized, amongst others. And so we gave that 3 months period. Now, the 3 months period expired on 10th of September 2021. As at that time, none of these items had been concluded. We stayed on, discussing with the government, receiving only appeals.
Okay.
We had met since then, since the suspension of the strike till the commencement, till the decision to commence the strike, we had met with the government 4 times. And in all of these 4 meetings, the government never disclosed or said that they can no longer meet up with the terms.
Right.
They were only making appeals. And of course, they have already run out of excuses. Even those making the appeals, they are tired of making the appeals. And we don't need these appeals. We don't need the appeals. What we need is for the commitment to be seen that this work, these items as agreed, are executed because they are for the good of the nation.
Right.
They are for the good of our students. They are for the good of their parents. They are for the good of society. They are for the good of the economy of this nation. And so there is nothing for renegotiation. It's not going to pay us any dividends. Going to be wasting money traveling up and down. On Thursday, just before the strike, was declared on the 11th,
right,
we met with the Honorable Minister of Education.
Okay.
That was on the 9th, and it was also appealed. On the 11th, a day after the strike was declared on Thursday last week, we also met with the government in this time around, led by the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Education. And so, like I just told you, all we've been able to convey to them is that we are not negotiating. All we are saying is execute what has already been negotiated.
Right.
And if you say that you are unable, let us have it documented, and you give us the reasons. If you're able to convince us that you cannot provide 15 billion naira approved by Mr. President,
right,
say, for the past 11 months,
right,
put it on paper and let us know.
Right.
If you say that you are unable to conclude review of our scheme of service, which you started since 2017, put it on paper, let us know. And all the others, if you say that you are unable to pay areas of minimum wage, which Mr. President had approved that every MDA should be, every staff of every federal government-owned MDA should be paid as at 31st of December 2019. This is 2022. If you say that you're unable to execute that directive from Mr. President from 2019 till date, put it on paper and let us know, and then you convince us that you're unable to do this. And on the basis of that, we can now negotiate again.
Mr. Ezebe, you are the national president of ASUP. You've met with the minister. You've met with the PAMSEC. What exactly are they telling you as to the reason why they can't execute this approval by the president? What were you told?
Well, like I said earlier, nothing significant. All that is going on is appeals. They just appeal for more time and keep appealing for more time. And
they didn't tell you in specific terms as to why.
There is nothing specific because we've been able to tell them, look, everything. For instance, the minimum wage arrears. Yeah. Everything that is for every bit or aspect of documentation leading to the release of the funds had been concluded since February this year. Every single bit of documentation had been concluded as far back as February this year. That is like 3 months behind before now. So all we need, as a matter of fact, it's just a matter of commitment. Because we expect that the Federal Ministry of Education, being our supervising ministry, they are the people who are supposed to follow up on these items. The items that require funds, release of funds, they are the people who are supposed to interface their fellow government functionaries in the Federal Ministry of Finance. It is an interministerial issue. Some of these items are interagency issues. They are in the position to follow up on these items as agreed and then ensure that these things are executed. The reality is that the level of commitment by these officials, by this ministry, is nothing to write home about. And that is why we are where we are today. The Federal Ministry of Education, functionaries of Federal Ministry of Education, and the ministry as a body, as an agency of government, as a statutory body of government, is supposed to interface with the head of civil service of the Federation on the issues concerning the scheme of service and conditions of service, which has been undergoing review since 2017. They've not been able to follow through this. The National Board for Technical Education, which in itself is an agency of government under the Federal Ministry of Education, is saddled with the responsibility to review the normative instruments for accreditation. Now, that has also not been followed through. So what we see is just clearly a lack of commitment. It's not a big deal, because there is no way they can. They know that they cannot convince us that an approval granted by Mr. President since June 2021, 11 months ago, for the release of 15 billion, just 15 billion, that they cannot follow this through. Do you understand?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Any excuse in that direction is self-indicting. And they cannot come up with any form of excuse. All they've been appealing is for more time. And we wonder for how long. The 15 billion naira we are talking about dates back to 2014. It dates back to a report of the government. It's not a windfall. It's not money falling from heaven. It's properly documented that from a government report, a needs assessment report conducted by the government in 2014, recommended the release, an injection of 826 billion into public polytechnics and colleges of technology in the country to enable them plug gaps in infrastructure and enable them train young Nigerians better to produce skilled manpower that will be helpful to our economy, that will contribute meaningfully to the economy of this nation. Not a penny of this money was released. In 2017, when our union went on strike, the same government said, look, this money is too much for us to carry. Let us release 15 billion for a start in lieu of the implementation of that report. We said, okay, let's have the 15 billion. So they can't say that since 2017, they cannot release 15 billion. It's, like I said, it is self-indicting.
And like you said, you feel that the problem we have here is implementation. If the president had approved something and then to pay is now the issue, then you feel that it's some kind of lack of commitment to agreement. But Mr. Zebe, you are currently on strike. ASUP is currently on strike for warning strike for 2 weeks. What then happens after 2 weeks?
Yes, after the 2 weeks period, the organ of the union that is responsible, that is the National Executive Council, will meet. We have a meeting in June, our statutory meeting, 103rd session of our National Executive Council will be coming up in the month of June. When we meet, we will review what has happened within these 2 weeks, because the 2 weeks warning strike is a protest. It's to draw the attention of the Nigerian public. Because a lot of this, it's already sounding like a scam. You make a promise, you come out to the public, you say, look, government has approved this, Mr. President has approved. At every single forum, the officials of the Federal Ministry of Education will gleefully announce to the world that the Mr. President has approved this. Where is the fund? Since June last year, it is beginning to sound like a scam. The more you announce it, the more it sounds like a scam, because it's just unbelievable. Since 2017. So when we meet in June, we are going to assess the situation, and then the next line of action will be taken. But I want to be on the side, of optimism. Okay. That this protest will not go unnoticed by both the government and the Nigerian public, and that the government will do the needful to avoid any unpleasant follow-through from this warning strike. It will not be very, very nice if our National Executive Council reconvenes, and by the time we reconvene, these items in our memorandum of action duly signed with the government are still left unfulfilled.
Well, I'm going to open up the telephone lines to hear from the public now. Should they have any thing to contribute on our conversation, or maybe even ask you questions, as a matter of fact. But one thing I would also like to put out there, Mr. Ezebe, is the attention of the government to polytechnics, to any other higher learning of institutions apart from the university. Do you feel sometimes that you're not being properly attended to as polytechnics or even any other type of institutions of higher learning apart from the universities? Because I've heard this severally from many quarters, like it's only ASU and the universities that get preferential treatment, and them ASUP and the rest of them are just left there. As we speak right now, colleges of education are also preparing to embark on a warning strike. Hence that question that I asked you. Is that feeling true, or you just you're getting what you should get in terms of attention from the government?
Of course, we are not getting what we should get in terms of attention from the government. That's a given. If we are getting, then we won't be on a warning strike. We wouldn't have been on strike last year. Clearly, we are not getting what we should get. The national policy on education, the formulators of the national policy on education, they didn't make a mistake in prescribing 3 tiers of tertiary education for Nigeria. The university education, polytechnic education, and then teacher education as represented by the colleges of education.
Right.
Now, the polytechnic education is there to provide technical and technological manpower needs of the nation, to drive that aspect of the economy, of the nation. And it begs the question whether this particular mandate has already been satisfied. That is now making the Nigerian government to abandon this aspect of tertiary education the way it has been. But then it is also a given that even the universities that we are talking about, government has not given them the kind of attention that they have been craving.
Exactly.
Because if they are getting the kind of attention that they've also been craving, they won't also be on strike.
They won't be on strike.
I know that they've been on strike for the past 3 months.
That's right.
And that, in fact, their own strikes, record even more than ours.
Right.
And so I think that is a general malaise. The government has not got its priorities right over the years. It's not just about this government, but over the years, the priorities have not been right. Education has generally been looked down on. Look at our budgetary allocations to education. It's abysmally poor for a developing economy. It's so poor. Primary, tertiary, secondary, up to the tertiary level. As a matter of fact, at the primary and secondary schools, we've already surrendered, to the private sector. There is nothing going on with respect to public primary, public secondary education, completely out of the reach of the poor in Nigeria. Now, that is what all this struggle is all about. Tertiary education. Now, are we also going to abandon it, to private sector and take it completely away from poor Nigerians?
I hear you. Let's take this call now. Olatunji is with us from Ogba. Olatunji, are you still here?
I'm still.
Are you with me, Olatunji?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, I want to ask: is the president that approved this money for them? Why can't they go back to the president again and tell Mr. President, the money you approved, these people have not released it. Help us out now. Please, I don't know.
To take the case back to the president, Olatunji, thank you for sharing that. Let's take another one quickly. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Chief Quadry.
Yes, please. Good morning.
Our man on the other side, good morning. Chief Quadry, I don't like when they give this government soft landing. Hear the man say, the previous government. No, talk of the government that is in power today. They promise all these changes. This morning I heard in your news, one of them 80 billion, right, being investigated, right? And these people are asking for just 15 billion. So let them talk about this government. They signed this agreement with them. Keep on telling me a previous government. No, mention these people that are there today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Let's take another one. Nigeria Info, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, please, good morning to you.
Let them be serious about this strike until governor answer them or the president.
Okay.
Not going up and down. Let them be serious once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you too. Mr. Ezebe, you heard the 3 callers. One was asking you to go back to the president to put pressure on the president. The other is saying, look, the current president. But I hear you mentioned that this started in 2014, right?
Yes.
That means it predates this government.
Why we talk about government? Of course, government is a continuum. Why we talk about governments over the years is some of the issues that, as a matter of fact, date back as far as 2009.
Oh wow!
Yes, as far as 2000, there is an item there that deals with countries 15 migration. That is a policy of government of 2009. 2000. So you can imagine. And so when we talk about governments over time, of course, including this one, if you look at budgetary allocation to education in this country, it has never gone beyond 9%. Never gone beyond 9%. And so, while we are holding to account the current government, it's also instructive to point out that this has been ongoing. And we want a stop to it. So we are not playing politics. Yeah. We are not politicians. We are not interested in coming to say it is the APC government or PDP government.
Right.
That is not our business. The issue is that governments and the political leaders in Nigeria should pay the right level of attention to education.
Mr. Anderson,
Now,
Ezebe, we must leave it here. I will keep in touch and I will bring you back in here if there is any update from your side. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson Ezebe is the National President of Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics. Let's go to break. When we return, let's talk policy and governance. Ministers resigning, ministers not resigning. We're right back in a moment. Stay here.
For talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. This is an infomercial.
Hey, it's your Deals Plug, and as usual, I've got the most fantastic information on the market, and it's tailor-made just for you. Now, the biggest football fan festival in Nigeria is literally back. It's GoFest 2020, baby. 2022, pardon me. I'm living in the past. Featuring a lot of really exhilarating games, food, there's comedy, live music by some of the most fantastic names in the entire industry. Trust me, you really, really want to be there. And guess what? You also get to watch the UEFA Champions League final on super massive screens. So yeah, in my opinion, you should be there by all means. And here's the best part, right? The best part is that the tickets are actually free, but they're very limited. All you need to do is get your free tickets now at www.gofestnigeria.com. GoFest 2022 is powered by Football Republic and proudly refreshed by Pepsi. It goes down at, of course, the Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, Ahmadu Bello Way, Victoria, and Lagos. The time is 12 noon, and the date is May the 28th, 2022.
That was an infomercial.
Care Plus and end your screen problems for as low as 9,000 naira. Yes, 9,000 naira. You can enjoy a worry-free total care service on your new A series. This guarantees accidental screen repair, quick and easy access to genuine Samsung parts, and Samsung certified repair service. Simply register your A series within the first month of purchase and enjoy damage protection for up to 12 months. Register today at www.samsungcareplus.com/AFR. T's and C's apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest football fan festival in Nigeria is back. It's GoalFest 2022. Featuring exhilarating games, food, comedy, live music by some of the best Nigerian music superstars. And you can watch the UEFA Champions League finals on a super huge screen. GoalFest 2022 will take place on the 28th of May, 2022 at the Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, Ahmadu Bello Way, VI, Lagos. Time at 12 noon. Hurry now. Limited tickets available. Get your free tickets now at www.goalfestnigeria.com. GoalFest 2022 is powered by Football Republic and refreshed by Pepsi.
Progress no go happen if planning all day. National Development Plan. They tell Nigeria people say progress through planning. Give us good infrastructure. Progress through planning. With help poverty and innovation. Progress through planning. Give us better security. Progress through planning. Prosperity for everybody. Progress through planning. National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. We fit achieve our target if we all implement them well and work together. We got that. Progress through planning. Progress through planning. Give us good governance. Progress through planning.
For more information on top the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, make you visit www.natdevplan.ng. This message now from the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. National Development Plan. Progress through planning.
Some people go just promise you berekete, but they go only fit give you bear. Some one no go fit do pass bere. If dem too try sef, some fit struggle give you bereke. But you see glow, they no go just give you berekete. They go even give you berekete plus join sef.
Yes, so when new and existing Glow users enter Glow Bracket Plus Plus, they will begin enjoy 100 Naira MB bonus data on top every first recharge of the month, another 60 MB bonus on top every other recharge of the month, and another 400% call time bonus. And if you be new Glow subscriber encore, now 1,000 Naira bonus credits then go first take knock you welcome on top all the recharge them. This one pass all four. Nah, four. This one now Bracket Plus Plus. Just dial *777# or activate new Glow SIM. Make yourself fit get joy on top the unlimited value waiting for Glow Bracket Plus Plus. Glow, joy unlimited.
There are 3 people whose calls I won't miss for the world. My mom.
How are my grandbabies?
My wife.
Babe, I have this.
And finally, Dele, my guy, who works at ARM. I can't afford to miss his calls. You see, Dele is always on my matter, informing me about investment opportunities before everyone else so I can always be ready. He always has a new strategy to grow my money. The way he carries the matter on his head, you would think it's more than just his day job. But that's why Dele is my person, because he's invested in my tomorrow.
At ARM, we want to help you achieve your goals, because when you succeed, we succeed. Visit www.arm.com.ng. ARM, invested in your tomorrow.
Life can be easier when you get help for your business, you go to sell more. Sending fulfillment, we go store your goods for you. We go pick and package it, deliver to your customers. Sending fulfillment, we will package for you. Sending fulfillment, pick and deliver. Sending fulfillment, we will package for you. Sending fulfillment, pick and deliver.
Sendy Fulfillment enables online businesses to earn more, reach more, and grow more. Download the Sendy Fulfillment app today and let's fulfill for you. Sendy, do more.
Housing is a long-forgotten issue for me. Ask me how. I simply embraced financial discipline and opted for a housing scheme that best suits my lifestyle. The Numero Housing Cooperative allows individuals, friends, couples, and you, yes you, in diaspora, contribute towards home ownership at a very convenient installment. To get started, please call us on 0702 500 0038 or 0702 500 0039. You can also visit our website at www.numerocooperative.com. No stress, no wahala. Numero Housing Cooperative, turning dreams into reality.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
And we're back. It's 8:33 from the time in the studio here, Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you again for remaining with us. We're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. It's a promise. We're going to keep you posted on the activities of ASU as well as ASUP. As they develop, we'll do that. It's a promise. We'll keep an eye on the two stories and make sure that we bring you up to speed. Right now, let's talk policy, let's talk governance, let's talk about the ministers who have resigned and the ones that are yet to resign. We've got about 25 minutes or so to do that. You know that President Muhammadu Buhari had made his stance clear that these ministers should resign on or before yesterday, May 16. Some of them did. Some, they're still going ahead with their plans to want to go ahead and contest. I can go ahead and tell you these names. I have long list that Zainab put together here. That will waste our time. Zainab, good job, by the way. It's not a waste of time. Please forgive me. You put in a lot of work into this things. Bola Olojede is here. First and foremost, what would make somebody put down 100 million naira and say, I know they do again?
Easy money. Anybody who worked for money even if, I mean, as a businessman now, you worked for money and you have earned 100 million, you're not going to put it on a toss and lose kind of a game. No, nobody does that. But if you have access to easy money, or like some of them will say, I wasn't the one buying it. I'm not the one buying it.
Yeah.
It is some friends that are putting money together to buy it for me. Under those kind of situations, then you can say, oh yes. But even then, when people are put money together to sponsor you, can you wake up and say, I know they do again. So you buy 100 million fund with their money, and then the next week you flip and say, okay, I'm not contesting any longer. So are you going to return that money back to the people who contributed it ab initio? And how do you handle that?
Should the party return the money to them?
It's not the business of the party. You said you wanted to be president. You obtained the form. It should, well, I know that in certain circumstances, some negotiations do happen, and they refund money. But in the real sense, it's a non-refundable thing. So you bought the form because you felt confident you want to serve this nation. I'm even more particular about people who say they want to be president. So 1 week, you had so deep a conviction that you want to lead this nation as the number one citizen of Nigeria. 1 week. The following week, all this desire and aspiration are fizzled out. Even after you committed, some of them must have committed the 100 million to the form. That ambition disappeared. The question is, did that ambition exist in the first instance? If it didn't exist, what is it that prompts a man who has earned 100 million to be ready to just throw it away when he knows that he has no chance whatsoever to become the president of Nigeria? What drives that? It is either the money, it's easy money. You don't know how it can be. If you earn it, how much is the salary of a minister? Let's be frank here. How much is even the salary of the president?
Of the president.
Not to talk of
the
minister.
president, yeah.
So someone who yesterday wanted to be president, the number one citizen, is suddenly now contented with being a minister who serves at the mercy of that president. What kind of a situation is that?
We're going to come to that kind of situation in a moment. But people have been saying this a lot. When this issue of 100 million naira forms started, I mean, that conversation was everywhere. And I just felt I should put it in here. Do you think everyone who coughed out 100 million naira should be investigated?
That would be perfectly in order. Everybody should be investigated. Where did the money come from?
Because the reason I ask is you say it's easy money. And I'm trying in my head to rationalize, okay, can easy money be legit? Can easy money be, fraud? I mean, what's
easy money? Look at it this way. Let's say I'm a minister and my total package per annum is, I don't know, maybe it's 24 million naira or thereabout.
Yeah.
Okay, so from this 24 million naira, I will pay my rent, pay my expenses, do all the bills, and then over a few years, I'm still able to put together 100 million, and I decide if it's 100 million that I want to invest. It's a different story. I put together 100 million, and I'm willing to throw it away, to just light a match, pour petrol on it, and burn it. It is illogical unless it is easy money. Easy money are money that people did not really work for. They did not sweat for. They did not earn. It was just thrown at them. So if it's thrown at you, of course, how many of it, or what is the volume of the pile that has been thrown at them? They can afford to burn it as they so desire.
Right.
It's the more reason why we should be interested in how. You see, the Electoral Act actually expects accountability on the part of the parties anyway.
Right.
So the party will list all the income it received, all its expenditures, its assets and liabilities, and it will be audited. So in the course of the auditing, I want to believe that one of the things that the auditors would like to vouch is all these inflows. And then there are agencies of government that should do further work on what was the source of the money. I don't want to believe that anybody paid in cash.
Okay.
Yes, so it came from an account. Okay, whose account was it? Did it come from? How did he gather inside that account? How did the money gather inside that account? If we do enough digging, these guys are supposed to be public service, and things they are doing should be subject to public scrutiny as well. So let's be able to find out where all the money came from.
Indeed, indeed. Now let's talk about those that initially indicated interest. Then they are not. They're saying, "I know they do again." In your opinion, what do you think the president should do?
I think you should sack them. You should fire them. Ask them to go.
And they're saying they are not doing again now.
They're saying they're not doing again. So it should not leave
They
them.
want to work for the
I
government.
think their mind left. When they say to you, oh, 3 o'clock is when we're going to have a party.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're at work. There's something that happens to you when you start getting to 2:30. Your mind departs because in 30 minutes, you're going to have some disenjoyment. That is how it works. So if a man has made up his mind that I want to be president and started to commit resources, has commenced consultation and all of that, and then you said, come back and sit down here and do the work. They are not going to do any work. I don't believe that. I don't even believe that they are committed enough to the service at their desk. If you're committed enough, you cannot want to be president one day and then the next day you flip and say you don't want to be president any longer. Just give me this one that I already have. Are they doing more than serving us? Though I have my reservations, though, that even when they leave, will the man be able to replace them? Not because there are no people from 200 million.
Because I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that follow-up question. That if he sacks them, then what next?
The chances are we may not be able to, from how slow the government has been with issues of appointment. Even the appointment I could anticipate. For example, I could know that the retirement age of the chief of army staff was this, and he will be leaving by this time, or that of the IG is this, and he will leave by this. Still, we had problems replacing them when the time for retirement came. We had 4 years to prepare for someone's succession. This government has not shown capacity to be able to make that succession, even when it has 4 years notification to do that. So how much more this incidents in which these guys have been asked to just leave like that? The chances are that they will just ask the most senior civil servant in each of those departments to take over, and that may just lead us into election and
Regardless of that, you feel that the president should let them go.
It should let them go. It should let them go. Let them go and pursue those things that are on their mind, because their mind left the service that we were called into as ministers. Let them leave, go. And they came and attended the farewell. What kind of people? What kind of people are these?
Yes, they did.
You sit down and attend the farewell where you were being thanked for your service to the nation, and you even have one of them, Akpabio, actually spoke on their behalf to thank the president for giving them the pleasure to serve. So after all of that, you resume back in that office. What did you forget in the office that you want to go and take?
Biro.
By which it is most likely. I won't be surprised if this is all related to the fact, there is still more of those free money to be paid. Otherwise, I'm not so proud of what is going on.
Do you think the president, I hear what you have said about, you should let them go, but do you think he can do it?
It depends on what he's told, what he's advised to do.
But he knows that these people once said this and now they're saying this. To me, there is some kind of loyalty problem. If you say that you're going to leave my administration, then one moment, the next moment, you're coming back. You even attended the valedictory session that I had for those leaving.
What are you coming back to?
What are you coming back to do? To me, there's a loyalty problem, and loyalty is everything if you want to, get to that solution point.
The argument could be flipped also. To say that, look, if I'm leaving, that is the one you can call disloyalty. If I come back to you, I'm saying, I want to be with you. I believe in you. I'm being loyal to you. The argument could be flipped. But I think the confusion, where the confusion...
Can the president do it, though?
If he wants to do it, he can do it. He has the power to do it. We've seen it. We've seen him in action when he decides to rise up. For example, when he said, all of you should go and resign. He meant it, and he gave them a deadline.
Yeah.
And we saw how that played out. But will he do it in this case, considering some of what I just mentioned? For example, replacing them.
Yeah.
Will he be able to replace them? And it shouldn't even be difficult in a country as huge as Nigeria to have a minister. Simply ask the same states where those people came from. Say, give me a candidate, and let's let it run the profile of the candidate and see if it fits into what we want, and then we can appoint them, we can replace them. Why do we make succession such a huge issue? But apparently, for this government, whether you perform or you no perform, once you get the job, just stay there, the cruise. That is how it is. That is how it doesn't remove people.
I will talk about those that decided to go and they've gone. But let's take some calls in and have people chime in. 0700 993 993 993 and 01 465 7190. I mean, what you say to what Bolan has said this morning. Feel free, if you're watching online on Facebook and on YouTube, you can drop your comment. I can see them coming in already. I'll take them in a moment. And please just be brief with your submissions, all right? Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, please, good morning.
This is Joy calling.
Welcome.
I want to greet the man in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
You are a true Nigeria. God will bless you. That is what is going on. Are we Nigeria serious? Continue to allow these people to be in office in this country since things are just like this. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Bless you too. Joy, thank you for calling. Nigeria Info, good morning to you.
Sorry, good morning.
Yes, please, good morning.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good morning.
Yes, please.
I say good morning to the man in the studio.
Good morning.
The 100 million is not refundable, right?
So they said, but parties could change their mind.
Change their mind. If it's not refundable, it doesn't even mean anything to them. It's like 100 naira. So those going back know that they always allocate money for the ministry, so for them to make more money. The president should sack all of them.
Should sack all of them.
People that are more loyal, people that can start the country better than them, especially the education minister.
Okay, thank you. There's no need to, drop name here. No name dropping.
But incidentally, the education minister I mentioned was the one who resigned first.
Daniel, hi.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning to you.
Yes, good morning to the
Bolan.
Good morning.
The chairman, and also you, Sheriff. It's good one. Let me just keep it short. I was in Ukraine some years ago, and you see these ministers, senators, their children, they are there, they are schooling there. So for them to go to Ukraine, say they want to bring Nigerians, let me tell you, they lie you. They are true. It's because of their children, they are there. That's why they made those moves. Let me tell you the truth.
But unfortunately, that's not what we're talking about. I mean, you need to respect the rule of public speaking. I mean, it's basic. You don't have to digress because you didn't have time to talk about that time that we're talking about it. You're not bringing it up here. But thank you for calling me, though. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, please. Good morning to you.
Yeah, I want to say that these ministers, I believe they have an agenda.
Okay.
Because they just wanted to raise 100 million for elections. And they deliberately went back because they know they will recoup this money before they leave the office. So let's get into
they want to raise the money for the party, Abby, or for themselves?
For the party for campaign.
Okay, all right.
And they all went back because money will be given to these ministries for projects, and they will recoup their 100 million before they leave.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. So, Bolan, I heard that before when the issue came up at first. But then I also heard the part that, look, it's a party in government. They can always get campaign funding from their states that they govern. I mean, someone even told me that that's the way we play politics. State governors fund party campaigns and everything. But what could be the most likely scenario here? Raise money for campaign or what? What exactly?
Let's also quickly correct that you could raise any money you want because there is a law, and the electoral law had limits.
There's a cap.
There's a cap to what individual can donate, what a party can spend. Everything is capped, and there are sanctions for for disobeying those rules. Having said that, 100 million is a nice way to raise money. No doubt about that. But we should not lose sight of the fact that it excludes people. 100 million is huge, is a high threshold, and in a democracy where you want to involve people, when you set that thing that high, you automatically exclude people. But the real lesson for us is that we must look at the election financing in entirety, because there's a whole lot of rot in that space. A lot of spending, even in cash. These 100 million are the things you will see in the books, because they are either transfers or bank drafts. A lot of the spending will be in cash naira, cash dollars. No trace, no monitoring, nothing on the books. And that is part of where the problem is. Do we copy a democracy wholesale and paste it on our country as it is? Are we as rich as America? Obama raised an equivalent of over 400 billion naira for his first election.
From the public.
From the public. But here, how is it raised? $10 there, $15. Of course, there are also big donors. But all those things are tracked and monitored, and they are reported on. We don't have that here. And a lot of people don't finance parties there. So we leave it only to a very few people who have huge money. There, even if it is $5 I have, I can give it to my party and I will take it up.
Right. But we need to touch on the ministers that are gone. I would have loved for us to pick them one by one, but time will go, honestly speaking.
Okay.
Looking at the antecedents of these ministers, what's your thoughts on their candidacy? Or should they be judged on their performance?
They should be judged. In fact, we need to learn to do that as citizens. I've heard some presidential aspirants who had been governors for 8 years say health will be free when I become president. And they've been governor for 8 years. So what did they do in the state where they came from? Was health free there? Or someone said, I will build 500,000 houses. How many did you build when you were governor for 80 years? So we must be asking this question. So as ministers, what did they do? What did they achieve in their respective portfolios? Nigerians must be ready. However, there's also a missing part which I think we can correct as we go into 2023. Is that if you did not set someone a target, if there are no standards to be measured by, how do you measure them? Performance management in itself assumes that the parties have an agreement as to what must be done. Then it is based on what we think must be done that we now measure. You said you were going to do 100 kilometers of road. How many kilometers did you do? You said ASUP strike, well, there were 10 of them in the previous period, that you will achieve 5 or 2. So should we, if without those things being said, I ask myself, how do you measure a minister in this country?
We have to go now. Thank you so much for coming on. Second day in a row. Appreciate you always.
The pleasure is mine.
Olajide is seasoned public affairs commentator. He joined us again. He was here yesterday. He's here again today. Let's take some messages, and when we return, I will be here to say my bye-byes and bring on Jimmy Silcours on Daily Digest. Lagos. Good morning to you.
For the best talk.
So your state governor is said to have ordered immediate employment of 5,000 youths. Don't we need more of these to come from different governments?
Stay with Nigeria Info.
Do you think that maybe those food items just came like that, decayed already? I mean, what is really the truth?
This 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.